rise for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the April 25th work session of the Board of Trustees here. We have public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board? You have 3 minutes. We have one person who's signed up here, Francis Genovese. Come on up.
I've given you all a printout of an article from the New York Times, which ran this weekend, which is actually a rearguard article, even though it seems to be projecting the future, about the diseases and epidemic that climate control are expected to bring, and in fact have already brought. This is not a political issue. This is about mosquitoes that bring the Zika virus and the West Nile virus. And it's very clear that it's becoming epidemic in this country, and it's moving up the East Coast. So I've left that for your reading, and I've highlighted for you the conditions which are the most favorable for breeding these mosquitoes. And the description is from a slum in Dallas. I've enclosed some pictures from a property in Southampton, which matches it perfectly. I brought these pictures into you before. They're dated over the years. This is the Corrigan property, which is a horrific breeding ground for this kind of thing. So I'm here because, finally, it's going to be a liability for the village very soon, either in terms of, because the village has been alerted and has been notified, in terms of the Board of Health coming. You know, the Board of Health has to be notified because there's standing water there at all times. In the drought of summer, there's standing water there. The other thing is, I was looking one day and saw in 2016 a bid offer that was issued by the town of Southampton for any contractor who wanted to pick up junk and stuff like that. And what it said at the bottom is that they had a hand in their bids, but everything had to meet the requirements of the municipal, the town, and the state government. It had to meet those conditions for a junkyard. So this is the second liability there, because he is running a junkyard beyond anything there. He's collecting old metal. He's got trailers there. The pictures don't do it justice. I brought this in before, and now it can't go away because West Nile virus causes paralysis in adults. Everybody knows what it does, what Zika does for children in utero, and also if they get it afterwards. So I'm dropping it again in your lap with a couple of pictures, and I expect it'll be addressed in the mayoral contest. And anyway, I'm leaving it for you. And what I would like to know, what I'd like clarified is there any law on your books for a junkyard, for permitting this kind of thing, for forbidding this kind of thing? Because if it doesn't, we revert to the town standards and the state standards. You have to meet them if you don't have one. So
I was reviewing code today. I didn't see anything in our code in reference to junkyards. I know we do have a couple of chapters in there regarding junk cars and motorized vehicles, they call them, and also brush and trash and weeds. But I did drive by the property today, and it's even worse today than what it was when you took these pictures in November.
And also, there's a composting operation going on in the back, which nobody can see. And the other day, there were about 15 cars with about 25 laborers hanging around. There are huge trucks on the street. This is not for the village. This is what's being encouraged in the village. So, I mean, if you have to do a law, if a law has to be written, if they have to get permitting, then,
It's residentially zoned too. It's R20.
yeah.
And it's all, I looked at their file on the property today. There's nothing in the file that designates anything that I saw when light. I could have missed something, any type of light industrial uses and stuff. I don't know.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. What is he assessed at? That was something I was trying to find out. But
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
go
me
in. I
either.
did have a conversation with the building inspector around this. We do recognize that there are actions that we do have to take, and I did leave a message for the property owner today.
We'll also, if you want to check what was recently written up by the DEC in Montauk, where a bus company was jettisoning all kinds of stuff equal to the materials that are on this lot. So I don't need to belabor it because everybody knows, and I think it's now the time that action has to be taken, especially in light of the health danger that it represents, which
Okay.
I hope everybody will read about. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Francis. Anyone else from the public who'd like to speak? Nobody here, so I will make a motion to close the public comment section. We have no board presentations with continued public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year ending 5/31/2018. If anybody from the board has any further comments around the budget? If nobody from the public that's here, any comment around this?
I'd just like to add one other thing that I didn't bring up on the first meeting with regard to one of the things that, we're dealing with is the huge increase in workers' comp, which has gone up basically almost $1 million in 7 years. However, on the positive side, our MOD, which is our rating factor based on where we stand with other municipalities as far as our claims ratio, which was 1.51, has dropped to 1.45. So it's going down at least, which is great. Okay. We're doing a lot of work with regard to addressing this. We're holding quarterly safety meetings. We've made contract changes in union contracts, as you well know, which has had an effect. And the claims this year, knock wood, to date are $67,000 with 2 months left to go. Well, last year we had $1,096,000, the year before 121, and the year before that 407 and 797. So we're on a really good spot, knock wood, this year. Keep the trend going. The unfortunately part about it is that they look at the last 3 years before they start the average of 3 years out. So, but if we keep this low for this year, it'll really help our average. So then maybe we'll start to see a drop in these premiums going forward.
Steve, do they do any safety instructions, the department heads with their employees?
Yeah, we do quarterly meetings from all the crew leaders, the chief of the fire department, chief of the ambulance corps. We go through with Cook Marin, and then they bring up what training they're looking for. About 2 months ago, we did bucket truck training. Okay, we're doing training right now because of PESH with workplace violence, sexual harassment, and then ladder training. And that is a session this morning, this afternoon, 2 more tomorrow, and there's 1 tonight with the fire department. So everybody, it's mandatory for every employee to do that. What we're doing with the scheduled meetings now is that, like myself, I don't need ladder training. So I'll go, because I'm a violent person in the workplace, so I need training in that. But then, the people that are pertinent, they stay for that. And the guys have been really good, particularly with Paul Murphy and Steve Phillips in there now. Paul has done a lot of training with Bartlett, so he's putting in toolbox talks like every Thursday in the morning, just 15 minutes before the guys go out after they take their assignments. And it's just be conscious of your surroundings. Again, electrical training, bucket training.
Key stuff.
Yeah, so it's all, we're really ramping up the training. Problem is, we're a small employee force, so to get these guys in here, you got nobody out in the field doing any work. So you really have to juggle it, but the more we do, the better we are. One thing that I'll bring up later when we talk about the CSEA contract, but it's not a contract item, but the other thing we're putting into place is pre-employment physicals. So that anybody coming in as an HEO or laborer, we have a benchmark when they come in, so we know they're healthy, and they can't say 3 months later, they got a back injury, and they came in with a back injury.
Right.
So now we have a benchmark to go with. So that's any new hire is going to have to go through a pre-employment physical on that.
And do we do any health health, wellness seminars or anything like that?
It's available.
Sometimes those are good.
It's available through EAP, and, we have it there. That they really, we brought in, we do the industrial hearing, which we did the end of March, and then we piggybacked that with, forget the name of the company, but anyway, they came in with a trailer, a 40-foot, bus, basically, and you had to pre-sign up for physicals, blood pressure, and it was well received. It was, completely no cost to the village whatsoever. I forget, it was AccuHealth or something like that. They paid for it, but a lot of people went in that, I'm not going to mention names, but some that had never gotten a physical in 5-10 years.
Yeah, yeah, that's key.
And they came out with like, wow, I have high blood pressure, I have to do something about it, So, it was a good, I would guess say 5 to 10 people picked up on it, but, it's
That's
all in the right
5
direction.
or 10 is.
Yeah, no, it's good, because usually, if it's offered from Village Hall, it has to be something wrong with it, so it's some kind of trap, so. Because we still have guys that don't take a hearing test, because they think that, well, if my hearing's bad, I'm going to get fired, so. But, it's just to help them out, but it's.
What?
That's right, exactly.
What about employee benefits? Because is there any way that a village can control those going forward, or are they going to continue to?
It's all, as far as the medical is concerned, we're not experience rated, so we're all pooled. It's, what's ever going on out in the medical field.
New York State health insurance.
Exactly. That's kind of out of control. The pension, that's out of our control. The only thing we can really, gear up on is the workers' comp. And then I'm looking at a different fire department LoSAP plan, which might cut that cost.
Yeah, well, workers' comp, if you can cut that, really makes
we're really making, we're really
huge
trying.
difference.
It does show. Putting in that 90-day clause into the CSEA contract was key.
Yeah.
Because we had some people that came back,
Yeah.
miraculously.
The
on
bad
90
backs coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, cool, good. Okay, any other comments and stuff like that? So should we keep this open one more? Or
No, we have to adopt it by the 30th.
Now,
Yep.
So we'll, okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the village budget year ending 5/31/2018.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adopt?
this. Yep, I'll make a motion to adopt the village Southampton budget ending 5/31/2018.
Second? Roll call vote. Trustee Yaz?
Aye.
Trustee Irving?
Aye.
Mayor Epley?
Aye.
Trustee McCann?
Aye.
Trustee Hedger?
Aye.
So moved. Okay,
Steve, on behalf of the village board, I really want to thank you for all the work around this. You did a fantastic job. All the supervisors did an incredible job. You really the value you've added to this process since you've been here is incredible and stuff, and it really is it's as good as it's ever been. So it's because of you. So thank you. Thanks.
well, the other guy, I have to give the other guys credit. Like I said, it's been a tough budget year, and I had to go back to all of them, and they all, dug a little bit deeper, and, we got it to where we're at. All right, one communication to the board from Ron Kelly, General Manager of the Breakers. He's looking to do a meet and greet at Cooper's with host families and players to get to know each other. The date is Friday, June 2nd, 2017, from 7 to 9. I'd like to extend an invitation to all at Village Hall to come down and meet our players. I don't have an answer whether he wants the restrooms open or not that night. I, have a call into him, but he was not explicit on that.
Do we know what he wants to do there? A meet and greet probably
think
involves
just,
catering and some
right.
other stuff. And I don't know if that's a Friday night.
It's a Friday night.
We actually start having people down there and stuff. If you were to do something during the week, it's a little bit different. But I don't know.
What does he want to use, the actual deck and the facilities for this?
Yeah, he wants to use the deck.
Yeah, that's the college league and stuff there.
Yeah, the collegiate.
First, I think there's a Friday night. Is it 31st is a Wednesday, right?
Yeah, he says Friday, that's June 2nd.
Oh, yeah, he says it right there, yep.
It's a,
I just think this is a
Friday
tough
night.
precedent.
Because we don't,
set
again, we don't
between
normally do that.
Memorial Day and Labor Day to start utilizing. We've always kind of protected that.
Right.
And,
And I could suggest the ball field, I mean, that's what he, you know,
yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
when is the fire department set up? That's the 3rd, right? Their banquet's the 3rd,
But they're on the other side.
yeah. I mean, he can use maybe,
Yeah.
possibly the Little League field.
Something
The
there.
third, yeah, that takes up that
Southampton
whole.
Center, is that pretty booked?
Probably, that'd be booked out. Yeah,
Second is an opening.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I have a call into him, so I'll,
Yeah.
pick alternative locations.
I mean, it's the precedent, you know, thing
Veterans
again.
Hall
like we
might
would
be a
just-
good place.
What
How
about
about
Dune Beach?
Agawam Park?
Yeah, Dune Beach, if he's really looking to do something down on the beach, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Dune Beach is something we do
Yeah.
Right.
all the time. It
And
probably
we've
would
got
be
the
better.
restrooms
Yep.
there, too.
Okay,
And just, yeah,
okay.
it's a good idea.
Okay, resolutions, item 1, resolve that the reading of the minutes of the public session of April 13th be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. The actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated April 25th, 2017, totaling $681,746.65, warrant 13 general fund, $14,773.68, warrant 11 capital reserve fund, and $350, warrant 20 trust fund be ordered and approved. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, Barnwell House of Tires, tires for the garage, $2,280. Bartlett Tree Experts, maintenance on the European Beach on Hill Street, $1,400. Page 2, transfer to the capital reserve, $100,000. City Energy Services, street light globes, $1,926. Cook Marin and Associates Insurance installment, $20,085. Page 3, East Coast Mines and Materials, sand and dumping fees, $4,847.60. Page 4, H2O Architects, final payment on the sewer district study, $40,000. International asbestos removal, demolition of the Dosha House. This, by the way, will be reimbursed from the town.
Yep.
Island Bio Greens, going on to page 5, fertilizer for Park Department, $7,734.50. Kuzmal Electronics, fire truck parts, $2,329.65. Malvisi Equipment, parts for the garage, $1,045.56. National Grid for buildings, $2,377.29. Page 7, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, Planning Board consulting fees, $1,548. And page 8, $16,076.64 for the building inspector's efficiency study. Page 9, New York State Employees Health Insurance for May, $301,347.82. PSE&G, collections for Police Department, $4,429.44, and on page 10, for streetlights, $5,824.10, and buildings, $3,434.09. Page 11, Revco Electrical Supply, Village Hall lighting, most of this will come back in a rebate, $3,027.51. Revco Electrical Streetlight wiring for Long Job's Lane, when we did the sidewalks, $1,930. Rocket insulation for PD, $1,500. Page 12, Vince Toomey, legal fees for March, $19,589.75. Page 13, Town of Brookhaven carding fees, $3,920.22. Verizon phone bill for March, $3,695.10. And page 14, WB Mason, office furniture for the PD's chief office for the water damage, $3,147. Capital reserve warrant, Shaliff and Rogers, payment towards the design of the Pierce Concert House, $12,000, and reimbursement to the general fund for building supplies that should have been paid out of capital reserve, $2,773.68. Further discussion? All in favor? Item 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the appointing of the following individuals as election inspectors for the village election on June 16, 2017, effective April 25th, 2017. Gina Rest, the chairperson, $25 an hour. These are all 9 to 9. Diane Fisher, $25 an hour. Georgette Chapek, $20 an hour. Gail Riesig, $20 an hour. Mariette Pincus, $20 an hour. Rachel Foster, $20 an hour. Betty Nichols, $20 an hour. And Jenny Filagirl, $25 an hour. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to eliminate line item overages for the period ending April 25th, 2017. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, $10,000 out of law personal, $10,000 out of insurance, $18,000 out of claims, with $38,000 going into trustee special projects. Item 2, $6,500 out of legal contractual, with $2,500 going into justice court equipment, and $4,000 in justice court contractual. Item 3, $2,000 coming out of police equipment, going into clothing. Item 4, $6,600 out of building seasonal, $33,000 out of street lighting electric, with $3,000 going to street lighting supplies, $5,000 traffic control contractual, and $1,600 into building supply materials. Next one is $7,000 out of highway fuel going to Cooper's equipment. Next one is $1,300 out of claims going into unemployment. Next one is $950 out of shade trees, $3690 out of shade trees contractual, $8360 out of claims, with $9,000 going to parks equipment, and $4,000 into park supplies. Last item is $1,000 out of zoning personal, $6,000 out of planning commission personal, with $7,000 going into planning board contractual. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, whereas that the Board of Trustees has adopted the budget for the fiscal year beginning June 1st, 2017 that does not require a real property tax levy in excess of the amount otherwise prescribed in General and Municipal Law, Section 3-C, and whereas the village had adopted Local Law 1 of 2017 authorized a tax levy in excess of the limit established in General Municipal Law, Section 3C, so therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby repeals Local Law 1 of 2017 as provided in Section 4 of such law. Can I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Rich, you want to expand on that a little bit, or?
We put a provision in the local law, we've done that for the last 2 or 3 years, that so that you can repeal it without having to do another local law. The background of that has something to do with the property freeze credits that you get back from the state. I think if my memory is right, I think unless you repeal it, the state doesn't give freeze credits to the taxpayers.
You're right.
So I think that's the reason. In municipalities that don't exceed the budget, there's an incentive that the state provides, and they refund a small amount of real property taxes for schools and municipalities that don't exceed the budget, the cap.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves that a valid beach parking permit must be displayed in or on any motor vehicle parked or standing in or upon parking facility at Cooper's Beach during weekends and holidays from May 27, 2017 through June 18, 2017, and on a daily basis commencing June 24, 2017 through and including September 4, 2017. Have a motion? Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 7, whereas a proposed local law entitled "The Local Law Amending Chapter 116 Zoning of the Village Code with respect to restaurants as revised at the March 21st, 2017 meeting would add special exception accessory uses to a restaurant, thus requiring special exception use approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals for such accessory uses. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby finds and determines that said proposed local law will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 8, resolved that the proposed local law entitled "The Local Law Amending Chapter 116 Zoning of the Village Code with respect to restaurants as revised at the March 21st, 2017 meeting is hereby enacted as local number 3 of 2017. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 9, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of the following as traffic control officers for the 2017 season at an hourly rate of $16. George Brown, Sean Ryan, Kurt Grodzki, Thomas Cummings Jr., Valna Gates, Seth Moll, Austin Bazile, Ryan Mowdy, Sarah Moll, Stephen Brown, Michael Reese, Christian Perez, Michael Gilliam, and Joshua Zano. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 10, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the hiring the following as seasonal police officers for 2016 at an hourly rate of $26. Greg Keglin, Andrew Kuttner, and Nicholas Aquino. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 11, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget adjustment. Increase trustees special projects, $92,200. Increase miscellaneous revenue, $92,200. Have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. This is just the adjustment for the demolition of the Dosha House, recognizing the cost and the related reimbursement from the town. All in favor?
Aye.
And last item, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the capital reserve account, subject to permissive referendum. J. and Rogers, Architects PC, $12,000 from the facilities reserve. Is that a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, one item on the discussion items, the code revisions that was proposed by Dean McNamara.
So what we were doing is just, we were breaking out the fee schedules first on this, and then Rick, you were going to take the remaining part of it and start
Yes,
reviewing.
there's two aspects to this. One is fee changes, which Dean is recommending. We can do that by resolution. So you have in your book a resolution that would make the fee changes, which could be done now if you choose to, rather than waiting for the rest of the local law. I have drafted a local law which would incorporate other changes that he's requested. It hasn't been typed yet, so I certainly should have it for you for the next meeting. I don't know when you would want to have the public hearing. You probably want to see the local law before you decide to have a public hearing, although I think you've had it in your books for the last month or two.
We have, yep.
Because Dean had sent over a packet that highlighted in blue and red what he was taking out and what he was adding. So the local law that I'm preparing will incorporate that stuff. And in fact, I just noticed that I don't have that on my computer, his changes, so I sent him an email today asking him to forward it to me so that it'll be on my computer. Then it'll be easier for my secretary to type in some of the changes.
Yeah.
If we had that that kind of a local law only requires 5 days notice. So when is your next meeting? May?
I think it's the 11th.
May 11th. If we introduce it on May 11, you could have the public hearing on May 23. If you chose to, you'd have to get the notice to the newspaper right after your May 11 meeting so that it can be published in the May 18th issue of the press. But all that's doable if you want to proceed that way. If you want to move it quicker, you would have to schedule a public hearing based on his highlighted draft without seeing the local law.
I think we'd rather wait until. Yeah.
It's better to wait.
So. But, a lot of these, Nancy said wanted to see what
What they were, I wish
were
we had
beforehand
like
and
in
stuff
red next to it,
beforehand,
like
so-
what, 150,
Well, that
what was that before, you
That
know?
was
That was
the
the other
original,
book,
what Dean had said, had that
That
in
was
there.
in your book previously.
I know, but it's not here
Yeah.
now.
Saved it or not.
Sorry, I wouldn't remember it.
Yeah. But a lot of these are brand-new categories.
Okay.
Just because he looked
Might
at
have it in
everything
yours,
that was coming in.
Pardon?
And tried to break it all
I
down.
have one copy in Julie's book. You want me to read it to you, or would you rather?
No, we're not doing anything tonight
Yeah.
on this anyway, right? Are we?
We can. We
Well,
can,
then I
because
would
we
like-
just need a resolution
Yeah, for the fee
to,
structure, we can do.
you know, nothing went down, I would say.
Okay.
And this
Well, it
was,
shouldn't.
yeah, and then,
Some of it only went up slightly, and a lot of it's just in line.
So
with
when
other
he
stuff.
did this, he took into consideration businesses that we have within our community that have this. Like, I don't know what explosive materials, is that a gas station?
well, it could be a gas station, it could be propane tanks, it could be,
Flares.
You know, a general contractor doing work, you know.
Right.
yeah, you just don't know what, it could be a transport that's coming through, it has to get a permit to get a transport
Right.
through. So what he
Still have my
did,
copy in my book.
what he did is he took the different
I mean,
types
in
of
my
permits
file, I
that
pulled
come
it out of the
through.
book.
Right, yeah,
and looked
most
at
of
all
them
the
do.
different, throughout other municipalities and saw what they were signing off on, and then expanded the the schedule right there to identify these different uses.
Okay.
So there would never be any kind of questions on something that they may or may not need a permit on.
Okay. It's all very interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's in line with, neighboring municipalities anyway, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. You just actually took the time to review it and say, well, okay, some of these were like next to nothing.
The majority of them are
If
new.
you're not ready to act on it
So
tonight,
he
you
really
could
was
act on
trying
it
to
at
cover the entire village then,
Yeah,
of
you'll
what
see.
we have here.
The red,
It's up to you guys.
I'm ready, but if everybody else is
Oh,
not.
interesting.
I mean, I
Okay, so
looked
the
at it,
blue
I
is all,
looked-
this is all new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because actually some of the categories were kind of an all-inclusive type, so they were lumping things in, and he really went through and he broke it out because I think he's had some issues along the way of different permits, and who thinks they need a permit and who doesn't think they need a permit. So he really went through and he really broke it down.
Becomes an enforcement issue, because
Yeah.
as you say, as we know, it's not so much what the fine would be, but if it's not broken down individually, it's about him able to enforce it
Right.
properly, that's all.
Yep.
So now he puts it in writing, he can enforce it.
Yeah,
This only establishes the fees.
that's it, yeah.
Right, to the extent that any of those fees relate to something that doesn't currently require a permit, it obviously wouldn't apply until we amend the code to require a permit. But some of those may, like you indicated, are probably just breakdowns of a broader category that already requires a permit.
That's really a lot of that stuff for us. If you go through and look, you'll see. So let's take the tents, for example. So he was just doing a flat fee for tents. Now he broke it down by tent sizes and types of structures and stuff. So it's
So on one part it says tents, canopies, and other membrane structures, less than 1,500 square feet, $100. So is that on a person's property?
well, it depends on if the fire marshal has to go in and it could be on the property. If you're going to have a wedding on your property and you're going to install a tent.
Well, that's my question, because
Yeah.
then the next one is special event on beach tent permit.
Right.
That went from 100 to 350.
Right.
But I'm confused. I understand the beach, but where are these other tents?
They could
would
be in the
have-
backyard. They could be
Okay,
at
I didn't
the-
realize if you put a tent up
Yeah.
in your backyard, you get charged for it.
Well, you have to, because of
has to be
fire marshal
inspected.
actually has to go and inspect it.
Oh,
To make
okay.
sure that
That's good for people
Yeah.
to know, because I think most people don't know
I
that.
completely agree. Because, where are they cooking at, and how are they
Public
managing? So, do they have, or they have electric in there? What's is it safe?
Right.
Do they have fire extinguishers placed at certain points throughout the tent? So,
And it's the flammability of the tent material, too.
Absolutely.
so those are all things that, and this has taken him about a year to compile everything.
Amazing.
And he just went through and said, these are all the permits that have come in, these are the different questions, this is municipality X over here, what they're doing compared to what we're doing, and how
You did a
can I
great
make-
job.
Yeah, he's a pretty thorough guy, I would have to say. Sometimes,
A little too fast.
yeah, sometimes people will have a complaint about that. That's okay. Complain about the fire marshal is not a bad thing. So when it comes to him holding your feet to the fire, I guess. So
We just keep him out of SAC, that's all.
Yeah.
Not allowed in there anymore.
so yeah. But any other questions on this?
No, I'm glad that.
Did
you know,
anybody else want to see the comparisons and
Yeah.
stuff?
No, I had looked at it previously.
Yeah. All right, so I'd like to take action on this tonight. So I'd like to make a motion, resolve that subsections N and O of Chapter 58, Section 3 of the Village Code are hereby amended to read as follows. N, permit fees for each permit under this chapter, including late fees and fees for lost, stolen, or destroyed permits, shall be established from time to time by resolution of the village board, copy of which shall remain on file with the village clerk's office. fees shall not be refunded in the event that an application is denied. And then O is permit fees, and there are 4 pages here of permit fees. And, 4 pages of which I'm not going to read those numbers and stuff. So that's my motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Before you go on, one of those fee changes is a tent permit for in connection with a special event on the Ocean Beach.
Yep.
And we have, that fee is also it's now set forth in this chapter of the code, but it's also set forth in Chapter 80.
Okay.
So to be consistent, we should amend that provision in Chapter 80. Resolve that Section 80-15B1B is hereby amended by deleting $100 and inserting $350 in place thereof.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Julie, there's the wording of it at the bottom there.
Okay, so that is all that we have on our agenda, and into comments from board members here. Trustee Strumsey.
Well, first off, it's Aquino, by the way, Mr. Funch.
What?
Aquino is how you pronounce it before.
Did we hire somebody like that?
No, we hired Acquio.
I mean, all those names, and I only got one wrong?
Just one.
No,
It's
you
been a
get it.
while. It's just one, not bad. I thought that was a simple one. But other than that, I just wanted to wish a happy birthday to my son, who will be, son Cole will be 16 tomorrow. So
Sweet 16.
Wow.
that fun begins.
Party.
Birthday, buddy.
Trustee Irving.
2 quick things. One, it was great to see the fire department out there on Main Street. Not that I had anything to do with it, but is to be proactive like that and to check the hydrants and the water pressures is, boy, it can be so valuable if you have a fully engaged fire going. And, and that's pretty serious situation, as we saw in Sag Harbor, and to know it ahead of time is a real plus. And the second thing, Nancy, which you probably should get involved with, and I think it's interesting, is, as we go into spring, everybody's lawn gets greener and greener and nicer, and all the landscapers are out there with their spreaders and putting more and more and more stuff on. I would just ask the general public to share the information with your landscaper on what is being spread on your lawn, because that can have a drastic effect on our ponds and our bays, especially along Meadow Lane and Dune Road, or anybody that's near our wetlands. And you should be well aware of what they're putting on your property. So often landscapers look for the short-term revival of all your plants, and it sure does it. But you may find an empty bay in front of your house. You keep doing it, so.
Well, not only that, it's affecting your children, your pets. Over a long period of time, I am always astonished when I drive by a house that has pesticide little things all over it. In other words, a pesticide has been put on the property, and they have babies that are crawling along in the grass. I don't even get it. So, I've always been against that, and I've never used anything other than, first of all, I never used anything for a long time. Now I use only organic, and, you're right. I remember years ago when they didn't allow detergents. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There were certain detergents, and of course a lot of people said, oh, well, they're driving across the county line to get their detergents and bringing them back. But that had a big effect, and it was a good effect when they had stopped the detergents. This, you are absolutely right, Michael. This has a huge effect on our waterways and also our own lives. So, I would hope that other people would consider that. And, I'm sure they all love a green lawn, but you can get it by using organic products, and that's really what people should be doing out here.
Yeah, well, they should, speak to their landscaper and share the information on what he's using.
There was a time when I really wanted the SAVE committee to come up with something, and I had mentioned it to them, where we only use organic throughout the village, like have that a law. Very hard to police, no question.
Yeah, it's hard to police it.
But it was sort of like, well, when we weren't allowed to use detergents, the stores weren't allowed to carry the product.
Yeah.
So then if the stores and the landscapers out here only have organic, that's really all that the landscapers are going to be able to get. But then people would say, well, then you're controlling these landscaping companies that, really cater not only to the public, but also to the landscapers. But you know what? Maybe that kind of control is something that we really need. I mean, we had someone who I'm sure you remember, Mark, who wrote to us because he had 2 dogs that died of cancer, and it was sort of like he was blaming that on
A lot of these animals
stuff
getting
that
cancer.
people put on their lawns. And you walk your dog down the road, and they're sniffing all around all other people's lawns, and they're taking that in. So, he wanted us to ban it, and I was very much in favor of that, and I don't know whether or not SAVE can get on that. That's a question that we need to ask them.
Well, I think the first step is property owners' responsibility. They should take on the responsibility to discuss what's being applied to their properties with the landscaper instead of just looking for the greenest grass that you can find in Meadow Lane.
Right.
Because, it literally is destroying Shinnecock Bay, destroying all the ponds, and all these houses that are now clustering and the density is getting greater around the ponds and stuff. They've got to pay attention. And it's their responsibility. They like the
Well, they should
view.
also, if they're on the water like that, they should have a planting plan. And, that's what happened down on Lake Agawam, where
There you go.
they had a planting plan that took the nitrates out of, the fertilizers that they were using. And it helped. It really helped the pond.
Oh, it does.
So, yeah, I agree with all of that. I couldn't agree more about that. But we should probably talk with SAVE again. I think Roger's away. They're coming back. We'll sort of bring it up again. His comment was, well, that wouldn't be fair to like Lynch's Garden Center because, they sell these products. But that's not the point. That's not the point. They'll sell a different product.
Right.
Well, that's the difference, is you're telling a business owner what they can and can't sell. So that's the only, we've brought it up before.
Well, but it's good for the total community. Everybody, I would say the majority of the people who come here because we are surrounded by water. And we have the ability to go into these wonderful areas and go to beaches and stuff. And if the lawn is more important than the health of our bays, then that's out of whack as far as
But another thing to attack on that, take it one step further, is if you're going to not just worry about what's applied, but the obscene amounts of water that is applied to the lawns themselves. In the estate sections too, because everybody loves a green lawn. So it's not even so much what's applied, but how much of our natural resource we use just for the vanity of a green lawn. So if you're going to go into that with SAVE, I think there's several layers that can be looked at. Our water usage, which is the highest in our 6.8 square miles, and some particular properties, and of course what we apply to it. And speaking of water,
well, they could look into that too. I don't have an objection.
Oh yeah, but as far as all of it. But speaking of water pressure, it's funny, Mike, from that fire drill the other night, when they tested all the water pressure, what I found was ironic. The best water pressure, the hydrant with the best water pressure, was in front of Fellingham's.
Yeah.
So the bar had the best coverage. The worst water pressure was the one outside of our front door,
Right,
in front of Village Hall.
yeah.
So Fellingham's and the people hanging over there are well covered in the event of an emergency, but I thought it was rather poetic or whatever.
Yeah.
Village Hall has the worst.
adjourn.
Village Hall was discovered to have the worst pressure, the one in front of it. I kind of thought that was funny.
Can we fix that?
Well, yes. The Water Authority was there. Suffolk County Water Authority was there monitoring all that, so they were a big part
Well, that
of
was
that.
good.
So,
That was really good then.
as far as it being an educational piece, they were there to then locate and improve that, hopefully.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think if some of the people who have their lawns heavily done do accept their responsibility and look at what they're applying, it would be a big step in helping.
Yeah.
Right.
Big step.
And it's self-policing. I mean, my neighbor's dog, again, like that person you referenced, a different person, Nancy, but died of cancer. I mean, animals don't, humans get cancer because they subject their bodies to certain things. An animal getting cancer is because they're subjected to something.
Yeah. Right.
By the way, I did hear one thing on that water pressure situation in front of Village Hall, that it was a compensation for all the pressure that's inside of Village Hall.
Bill, I knew you were going to throw something in there. There was
waiting. There you go.
Right.
I thought you were going to say they used too much water pressure to knock off the sweet gums.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the sweet gums got it clogged.
Right.
They're not all gone yet.
Anything else?
You're
Mike?
working on it.
No, that's it. Thank
Nancy?
you.
Well, I think one of the things that we can talk about is the process that Mark and I had a meeting today for the new playground, the additional playground over behind O'Connell Drive on the former Dosha property. The Dosha house is gone, and we're going to be adding to our playground, and it is spectacular. So I'm very, very excited about it, and we had a meeting with a playground person, the same guy who did the playground there, but we're adding really more exciting equipment for our community. So I'm so excited about it, I'm jumping out of my skin. And I know you were thrilled with it too, and
Hope you do better than Julie did when she jumped out of her.
I know, right? Yeah, right. So anyway, so stay tuned. Probably you'll start to see some stuff going on over there, but equipment and stuff might not be in until August into September. But hopefully we're going to get it done before the fall is over, and so they can start playing, and then next spring it'll be just ready to go.
It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Bill?
Just, one quick thing. I got a call from Valerie Smith about a week ago complaining about litter in the business district, and of course I explained to her, if you think it's any kind of a problem now, wait till July and August when everybody's using our containers to put their household garbage in. But in any event, she did say one thing that caught my eye, and she said that behind Starbucks is a mess, and by gosh, I've been there a couple of times this morning. When it's wet, a fair number of people drop their napkins. They walk out, I guess, with a coffee and a muffin or whatever, and they drop the napkin, and they're all over the parking lot, and it really did look messy. Plus, there's several that are around the perimeter that are caught up in the shrubbery and so on, and Gary took a look at it, and I think, Mark, you're going to go over and see them tomorrow. It's one obvious thing. They have a walkway that takes you back to the parking lot when you come out the front door, and there's nothing even resembling a canister which people could throw a napkin in or something like that, and might reduce the problem. And also the village is not in charge of private properties like that parking lot is, so that I think Mark is going to try and persuade Starbucks that they should pay more attention to it, that it hurts their own business and so on, and maybe they could have somebody go around once in a while and pick up the things that have gotten caught in the perimeter and so on. And other than that, I'm getting ready for the football draft.
Just a couple things from my standpoint. One is, the police department has really stepped up enforcement on Hill Street. And if you're driving up and down at any time, there's a lot of people that are getting pulled over for excessive speeds and erratic driving and stuff. And I think that they're doing a fantastic job, really, in there. So thanks to the chief and the department for stepping up here. The other thing is the sidewalks. Sidewalks, really proud of the way the sidewalks turned out.
Oh, yeah.
And what a great addition, really, or expansion or improvement to the community, and it really does a nice job. And I think the next thing we're looking at is the base around the tree that trying to figure out from a financial standpoint, how
Right.
we can do that and what the costs are going to be, because we want to make sure that get some kind of irrigation system in there so that sweet gums are all well watered, they grow, produce the.
Strengthen them, we want to strengthen them.
Like a nasty letter to Mayor Majowski.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. So.
Seemed like a good idea at the time, I guess.
There's a lot of.
I think
I said
people-
that a few times.
I think people should know that we are putting irrigation around all the trees on Main Street, and in that irrigation, we will also be fertilizing these trees, which is so wonderful because they have suffered from drought for several seasons, and that's been part of the problem with them.
Yeah, the tree that fell on Job's Lane, part of that was it had hollowed out and became a safety hazard right there. So we're doing some cleanup with some of cleaning up some trees around. We're going to be planting some new trees and looking at what the cost is around putting that around the base of the tree. So it's good. And then also I think it's June 10th, the American Heart Association's having their, summer gala at the Southampton Arts Center on June 10th. The one thing they're going to be doing there is they're recognizing Southampton Village and the volunteer ambulance department because those guys went out and created brought us to the standards to meet the standard if we're a heart-safe community, with all the AEDs and the training and improving access and stuff. So, it's important because, you just never know when you find yourself in a position of saving a life. And so it's June 10th. I encourage people to attend and support the ambulance department on that, and it's good. So. Okay.
I just want to mention,
Yep.
since you brought up Hill Street, I
Yep.
had a person come in to see me today in my office who lives on Hill Street, and he made a suggestion, because everybody's trying to figure out how do we keep traffic moving more slowly. We realize we have 25 miles an hour on Hill Street, but it's still, people don't adhere to that. I mean, I'm driving on it, and I see people who are annoyed because I'm trying to do 25, and they're backed up behind me. But one of the things, and I don't think it would be possible, because I told him, that is a state road, is it not? Hill Street?
No, it's actually a village road.
Okay. So he wanted, because he lives on Hill Street, he wanted to beautify Hill Street. So he asked if it would be at all possible that along Hill Street, if you could do gardens in the center.
In the center of the street?
Yes. So I was like, well, I don't
You
know how
make
to...
that motion.
I know.
Good luck.
So-
Nightmare, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I said to him, he said, well, it would look so beautiful, and it's not like you don't have it open to go across to go into the other. And then, of course, he brought up Hampton Bays. I said, look, there's no question, those center of the road gardens in Hampton Bays are absolutely beautiful, but they had to go to the state, and it took a really long period of time, and then they had to go to the county. The county had to prove it. They had to get the money. It cost a lot of money. The county put in a lot of money for that. I said, I'm not so sure we would be able to do this. I said, first of all, we wanted to maintain the bike lanes, which we did. Everybody
right.
wanted the bike lanes.
Yeah,
Now you're
absolutely.
narrowing it, so I'm not so sure we'd be able to have the bike lanes. But
Both would be
I'm
tough.
throwing it out there because he came in and he talked about a property at the corner of Tuckahoe and Hill Street that it's on the northeast corner of Tuckahoe and Hill, and there's a tree there that is really broken and very, very bad. It looks, but I don't think it's in the village right of way. I have to go back and look at it because it's fairly close to the road, but it may not be in the village right of way. But he was saying, is there any way that we can get that tree taken down and maybe beautify that corner because it's the entrance to the community? I thought it was an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah,
There's
so
some room there.
we'll look into that and see. It is privately owned, so, we'll have to look to see if, I don't think the village could do anything on a privately owned piece of property, but maybe there's enough of a right-of-way. I think he thinks it's about a 13-foot right-of-way there.
Isn't that Stewie's?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can talk to him about the tree, because the tree's really awful.
Yeah, it's a safety hazard. I know
Yeah.
he'd want to.
I mean, it's broken and it's hollow, and it's, So maybe we can talk to him about it. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention it since you brought up Hill Street.
I don't think you have the width there to put a.
I didn't think so
And
either.
also, everybody lives on the multiple driveways. You'd end up putting U-turn
Right.
opportunity. I think
Well,
you're
he said, you know,
creating-
you'd leave it open for every street, so it would be,
Well,
you
but
would never.
not all
Driveways, you got the driveways, you got all
But a
the,
driveway, oh, yeah, they
Yeah,
would,
you'd have to.
yeah,
you'd be forcing them
Yeah.
to go up to a cut every,
you're right.
Bigger problem, too, is that when you're going, let's say, west, okay, and somebody wants to make a left-hand turn to go south,
Yeah.
you take out that center, nobody can go around them. Right now, we designed it
There's
that
enough
you
room.
can go around them,
Right.
and then you'll be backed up all the way.
Yeah, I agree. I told him that I didn't think that that was possible, but that I would mention it to you all. But
If it
also,
were a wider road, I mean, it would be nice to have some
Right.
kind of center median that, you know, you could plant out and stuff, but.
Be pretty.
But you'd have to have the ability to be able to make the turns and stuff.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
but yeah, I just don't,
Nobody lets anybody through, you know, so
No.
it's like that traffic gets backed up.
want to,
It would slow them up.
it really would.
It slows me up, yes. And I'm not speeding
it
there
would
either,
slow
but.
them up, that's for sure.
definitely slow them up.
So that's all I have. So we'll go to a second public comment. Anybody from the public would like to speak? There's nobody here. So I'll make a motion to adjourn the public session to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters.
Second? Favor?